Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So this is my second video real quick. I wanted to talk about this protest that took place in Chicago. You had this pastor by the name of Flager. He participated in this major demonstration where you had many people, I don't know if it was thousands, but definitely hundreds of people participating in the demonstration where they blocked traffic for a period of time. And they were protesting against the violence that plagued Chicago, where you had over 200 people killed and over 1,000 people shot this year in Chicago. And I just wanted to share my thoughts about this. First of all, I think that it's great that they did something that would gather national attention around this issue of inner city violence. Because when you just, have some regular mundane type of protest, it doesn't gain the type of attention that this kind of matter deserves. Here you have a city that is plagued with violence, plagued with all this violence where you have young black men killing each other, the proliferation of gangs and violence and drugs. It is important that the nation focus on this matter. Right now the nation is focused primarily on this immigration issue, which is very important, but we need to focus on these types of domestic issues that impact our communities. And it's a great thing that these demonstrators were able to demonstrate and garner this type of attention. So on that hand, I support what they did. I think that it was a great thing that they were able to gather this attention. Now, other than gathering attention, the question is, will this make any kind of difference? What will be done to make a difference in Chicago? And this is what I have to say about that, man. Instead of simply marching in the streets and blocking traffic, the people in Chicago should have marched to the polls and voted out Rahm Emanuel. He obviously has failed to make the city of Chicago safe. And I know that this problem of violence predates Rahm Emanuel, but he is a failure when you look at this issue of violence plaguing Chicago. And that's what the people should do. March to the polls and vote that guy out. They should have voted him out during the last election because he has failed the people of Chicago. He has not made the people of Chicago safe. His police department has failed the people of Chicago. And elected officials have to be held accountable for their failures, man. Just like if you have a coach who's coaching a team, a football team, a professional team, and that team loses every match or every game during the season, that coach will be fired. More likely than not, he will be fired. Or if you have a football player who's not living up to what they predicted he would live up to. He's not scoring the way he should score. He's not defending the way he should defend. That football player would be fired from the team. He would be cut from the team. And it's time for these elected officials, like a Rahm Emanuel, to be cut from the team and to be, removed from office. That's one of the first steps toward accountability. So we got to do more than just march. Marching in the streets, people have to march to the polls and hold these elected officials accountable. These officials are responsible for making sure that the public is safe. And if they fail to uphold that responsibility, then they need to be held accountable. The second thing is the community must be held accountable for allowing this kind of violence to continue to plague our communities. You had people that commit these heinous crimes against our young people, and you'll have people who know who committed the crime, but because they are afraid of these gangs, they refuse to say something. They refuse to do something, and that has to end. We have to end this whole don't snitch culture that plagues our communities, man. Now, I understand that no snitching if you're a criminal and that's your lifestyle, if you're participating in some drug conspiracy or whatever. I get that. Like, if you are a criminal I understand why somebody should say you shouldn't snitch on people you participating in crimes with, but I mean, at the end of the day, you're a criminal, and you know there is no honor amongst criminals, man. But that's a whole nother issue. But I think that the community has to say something. I mean, just like you see those reports, like if you see something, say something. Like, you know, those ads that they run in the airports and the train stations. If you see something, say something. And it's time for our community to say something about this violence that plagues our communities. Instead of marching simply in the streets and blocking the traffic, people need to march against the gangs in Chicago that are responsible for the violence. They need to march against the drug dealers that sell the poison to our people, man, that have the dope houses. You know where the dope houses are in the community. We know where these drug dealers are. We know where these gangs are. Those are the people that need to be confronted. Those are the people that need to be dealt with. Of course, you need to deal with the politicians to ensure that we have reasonable gun control laws in this country to address this problem of guns flooding cities like Chicago. But we have to hold our own community responsible as well. As I've said before, like my imam teaches, it's our community and it's our responsibility, man. We can't let these gangs and, you know, drug dealers run our communities. We need to take our communities back from these people. These people are terrorizing our communities, man. And this whole gang culture is a cancer in our community. We had these young people celebrating violence, celebrating, you know, the destruction of the black community, because that's what gangs are. They are destroying the black community. They are responsible for deaths in the black community. They are responsible for young men going to jail at young ages. They are responsible for perpetuating the mass incarceration problem along with the system, but these people play into the system. And we need to hold them accountable as well, man. We need to hold our children accountable. I mean, how are you going to allow your child to get wrapped up into the gang life? And part of the problem is like the destruction of the family. If you don't have any family life, there's not going to be anyone there to hold a young man accountable. There's not going to be anyone to guide a young man away from guns and violence and gangs and all that kind of stuff. So I think that the problem obviously is, you know, not going to be solved with a simple march, with a simple act of civil disobedience. You need more than that to stop this problem of violence that plagues our community. We need much more than that. So, yeah, so I just wanted to share my thoughts about that, man. Tell me what y'all think. Please rate, comment, and subscribe.